Elon Musk has never sounded more confident about Tesla's Robotaxi future. In just the last few days, he's said outright that Tesla has solved unsupervised self-driving and that Waymo never really had a chance, something he believes will look obvious in hindsight. Today, we're going to show you the exact clip where he predicts unsupervised FSD in 3 weeks and a much larger model arriving by February. Then we'll break down Waymo's entire approach and why Elon thinks their ceiling was always limited. And finally, we'll show you a detailed report on how Wall Street sees the robo-taxi market shaking out. ARK Invest, Goldman, Morgan Stanley, and others. Most analysts think Tesla will take 8% to maybe 50% of the market. But none of them seem to be accounting for the fact that Tesla is the only company claiming autonomy solved across almost every environment with millions of capable vehicles already on the road. Let's dive in. Got Brian White joining us today. He's one of our best Tesla retail analysts. Check out his YouTube channel, FutureAza. He gets exclusive factory tours and interviews. Thank you, Brian.
Great to be here. For those who don't know, I will be seeing Giga Nevada inside next week, and I'm getting a very interesting tour of the Fremont factory as well. I'll be at Redwood Materials in addition, and seeing Lucid, their design studio in the Bay Area. A lot going on. I'm on the road as always, starting on Friday.
Wow. I wasn't kidding. Exclusive factory tours, exclusive interviews. Check him out. This is where you learn things. And today he's going to be he's going to tell us a lot about what's going on with Waymo, Tesla, and the analyst projection of Robotaxi in the future. I saw, Brian, I saw your post about it, and I wanted to break down and ask you details about it specifically. Okay, so first let's start with this post that Elon made. Said Waymo never really had a chance against Tesla. This will be obvious in hindsight. I will, after we cover a few more topics, we'll come back to this and explain what exactly happened. It was a conversation he was having on X with Waymo executives talking about Waymo's new neural net approach, and people going, Waymo's so far ahead. But, he gave us a confirmation once and for all. Waymo never really had a chance against Tesla. This will be obvious in hindsight. There's confidence from Elon. And, because many of us still wonder whether or not Waymo is a competitor or not. And then this came out, Morgan Stanley research. They believe that Tesla will only account for 25% of U.S. autonomous vehicle trips in 2032. 25%. Zoox, 12%. Tesla 25%. This part here, right there, throws me off.
Yeah.
Zoox has a 15 square mile. They have a plan to build 10,000, but they're backed by Amazon, maybe. Okay, Tesla, Waymo 34%, so they think Waymo's gonna be ahead. Lyft 7%, Uber 22%. So despite the fact that it's 2032, 7 years from now, Lyft and Uber somehow will have autonomous vehicles. Nick Cruz says this seems way too low. Tesla's the only one of the companies that manufactures its own vehicles in-house and at a fraction of the cost of its competitors. Let's see how well this data ages. And we'll go through the exact research that Morgan Stanley did.
Because I'll tell you what the research looks like is they went to Google and typed in how much market share will Tesla have in 2032, and they didn't even click on a link. They just used whatever Gemini said. It's that bad. My question, so not to be like too critical of Morgan Stanley here, which I'm going to be, they are saying, so I'm sorry, the Waymos are not part of Uber. That's something different than Uber, because Waymo already has autonomous presence. So does Uber, and it's the same car. Are we counting the same cars twice? This is bad and lazy research. Waymo doesn't make cars. They don't have a plan to. Lyft doesn't even have any partners lined up. What is the thinking here, I guess, would be my question. You've got a company that can make cars. Now, I would caution that Zoox technically does make cars, but but it's technically, I mean, they're hand built in a garage. That's like saying Tesla with the original Roadster makes cars. Yeah, they buy a whole bunch of pieces of cars and they put them together very inefficiently. And what they come out with is a pretty good car, great for the time. And Zoox, I would argue, is great for the time. but it doesn't scale. They're not going to be making millions of these. Do they have the billions of dollars it would take to build a factory to actually? No, of course not. Well, they could get it. Maybe, but now you've got to pay for that too. And that's no guarantee that you'll get the efficiencies another manufacturer would get. We've seen how hard it is for new manufacturers to try and enter the market at any kind of scale. Look at Rivian, look at Lucid. These are companies filled with great engineers, brilliant people. I've met a number of them myself, and they still struggle. So if you've got this huge cost disadvantage, how do you overcome it? I don't know if you do.
Yeah, that's just that one point alone is so big, right? Zoox is going to be 12% of the market, Tesla 25% of the market. So Tesla is only going to be twice as big as Zoox. Meanwhile, Tesla's already made 8 million vehicles. They're making 2 million per year now, 4 factories. They're going to be making more, 4 million the next year and all that. Meanwhile, Zoox has made 1,000, less than that.
No.
I think they have only a 250.
Yeah.
And they plan to build a factory for 10,000. Yeah, dude. I mean,
that's the plan.
You're going to take 10 years to get to 1 million if you're lucky.
If you're lucky. And even still, the 10,000 factory is probably where they're going to run out of headroom. So 100,000 over 10 years, 100,000. You know how much revenue we can generate with that many vehicles? Yeah, but
great.
Good
Not
for you.
12% of the market.
Good for you. Right. And that's the real thing is someone said, well, yeah, you don't understand. Waymo is already scaling. I go, yeah, that's great. That's exciting. But they can only make a few thousand cars a year at most. And yes, you can make insane revenue. They are showing that you can generate huge revenue. But that doesn't mean you can compare with a company that can, without breaking a sweat, just produce an extra 300 cars a day. 300 cars a day in the US between the 2 US factories wouldn't break a sweat. That is a degree of scale you can't compete with before you get into before we even talk about Cybercab. We're still talking about the Model Y. The Model Y is at least half the price of any other robotaxi out there to deploy.
And the robotaxi will be even more than half.
And the robotaxi will be half that again.
Yeah.
So
I did some research and I took a look at all the analyst forecasts. Let's go deep into that. This is Tesla's projected share of the autonomous vehicle robotaxi market from these key analysts from 2020 to 30, and in fact some of them are 2035. So first of all, quick overview. Autonomous driving is shifting from EV sales to robotaxi revenue. We've been watching that happen. I don't know of any other. Very few analysts now do not take in consideration that robotaxi is real. You know how quickly 1 year just changes people's minds. And now they've been pulling in and saying, oh, it's real. And then, oh, it's coming sooner. Oh, but here's the research. Robotaxi and rideshare expected to grow from 40 billion to 300 to 400 billion by 2030. That's their estimates. Current advantages, as we've already said, Tesla, 6 billion real-world FSD miles. They're the only ones, and we'll show you the video later of Elon saying that unsupervised FSD is solved, like now, and we're going to get it in 3 months, 6 months, let's say a year, but no one else is even able to say that. And this is applicable to not just 1 or 2 cities. This is like, when he says it's solved, we're all seeing it solved in every country, in many, many countries. In-house AI training and dojo, they have obviously supercomputers, billions of dollars worth of supercomputers, planned 30,000 Cybercab, designed, already in production. It's already starting to production by next year. Ability to turn existing fleet into revenue-generating robotaxis. That point there is so big. They don't have to create new cars like Waymo does. Everyone else does. But Tesla's, every car they're already making that they're selling to customers could be part of the network.
Yes.
But regardless, I don't think any of these analysts, maybe ARK Invest considers it. So here's the roundup. You got ARK Invest, SP Global, Deepwater Gene Monster, Benchmark, ID Techx, Goldman Sachs, and Morgan Stanley. And their forecast for Tesla's share is 2030, 2030, 30, 30, 30. Tesla's projected share by ARK is 30 to 50% of the global robotaxi market. And S&P Global 45%. Deepwater is 30%, Benchmark 35%, ID Tech 25%, and then you got Goldman Sachs at 80%, and then the Morgan Stanley research says 25%.
8% on Goldman Sachs. 8%. Are you insane?
Well, you know Goldman Sachs. Yeah, you know them.
I am familiar with Goldman Sachs, but I don't think their research is all that great. This is wild to see. I think 45% being the high number in the group from, ARK Invest, Kathy being at 50%. Kathy is viewed by her colleagues as a kook, except that sometimes she gets it right. And while I would argue that I still think if I went out and published a number that said 50%, I think people would look at me and think I am the most skeptical of the people who do what we do. Of the retail analysts, they'd say 50. Why just 50? Brian, make a case for just 50. And the only case I could make is if the Chinese AV companies crack it, they will also have the manufacturing advantage. They will also have the scale advantage. And they're not looking for huge margins, so they would be okay with getting even 2% net margin. They'd be fine with maybe even -5 net, but 2+2 gross. So China would be the only variable there. I don't see Waymo's approach necessarily working. Yeah. If you go back one slide, there was a couple things I wanted to say on here. So yeah, the real world data moat is insurmountable. I was asked if a Chinese firm could overcome it. BYD, Huawei, they're gathering huge amounts of, they finally put the full suite on most cars being sold. That's allowing them to log huge amounts of miles. So at what point will they catch up? And the answer is they won't. They can catch up to where Tesla is today, but by the time they do so, Tesla will have years of additional data. There's a minimum that's needed. They will get to that minimum. It won't be soon. Having the in-house compute and having the ability to know how to train it. You are old enough to remember people who said the Turing test will never be passed. And we are so far past that even the question of it is ludicrous.
Yeah.
A kid can now write a script that can pass the Turing test. So this is, the world has changed very quickly. And you and I've got a show we're going to be doing on my channel where we discuss some of the predictions about never that now look pretty ludicrous in hindsight. So this is, how do you get out from under it? And I did want to talk real quick about the cost advantage. Someone, of course, responded to me on either X or the YouTube comment saying, well, this is proof to me that Waymo has an insurmountable lead. I mean, they're already expanding into these markets. They're already doing truly driverless, no one in the passenger seat, no one in the driver's seat. How do you pass that? And I said, price, just done, price. You and I've shared the math with you before. You've seen it. You agreed with it that Waymo will have about $1 a mile cost disadvantage due to the structure of their business, due to the way that they commission and build cars. $1 a mile is a huge disadvantage. And if you think price isn't enough to win people over, I would point to Fred Lambert from Electric. I know of very few people who despise Tesla more than Fred Lambert. He posted the other day, he said, well, I had a pile of referral dollars sitting in my account. What am I going to do? Not purchase a Tesla Model Y.
But you hate Tesla so much. You don't.
Yeah, but at this price.
You bought it. Bought a Tesla.
Sorry, did you say at this price? Because that's my whole point. We had this happen 2-3 years ago. There was a big $5,000 price drop on all models in the US. And the sentiment on social media was, man, I really hate that guy, but boy, for that price, I think that's my next car.
No doubt about that. The number one decider criteria for ride hail is price. The second is availability. How many cars are out there? So if Waymo is equal in availability than Tesla, which they're just not going to be, but let's say they are. $1 a mile. For me to get to the airport, it's $20 cheaper if I take Teslas versus Waymos, and $20, $30, $40 cheaper than a Uber because I have to pay tips as well. Yeah.
It's a structural cost advantage. A Cybercab will always be cheaper than anything Uber has unless it's also a Cybercab, because the car costs half the price. The driver cost is debatably down to zero. You can't, and the tip factor just doesn't come into play. So yeah, there are too many factors
Yeah.
working against those guys.
Okay, well, I don't understand why Morgan Stanley doesn't get this. I guess, I don't know. Okay, well, this is part of the reason. Here's
I mean,
how Morgan Stanley thinks about it.
they could hire me to give a quick
Yeah.
presentation to their staff. But
Let's give them a chance. Let's give them a chance. Let's
Sure.
hear how they thought about it. According to this report, their research team, okay, this is like a lot of research that looks forward to the next half decade. Robotaxi's future, while expected to grow rapidly, might not be so different. Okay, he's talking about the battle between Waymo. Okay, they expect Waymo and Tesla to command about 70%, 38% to Waymo, 29% to Tesla of autonomous miles. Our base case bottom-up AV model assumes AV miles grow to 103%, reaching 16 billion. But even then, AV miles only make up 0.5% of total US traffic. There you go, right there.
Wow. Okay.
So they think that by 32, only 0.5% of all US miles will be autonomous. Now, okay, well, there's truth to that, because not every car is still gas, and they're still the old. They'll still be on the roads. And so, fine, 0.5%, small. Okay.
This is a semantic difference here, but they're lumping all autonomous vehicles together when what they need to be doing is breaking out Robotaxi, because my friend Herbert drives an autonomous vehicle. What is your percentage on FSD?
I'm at 900%. So, but yes, but Teslas only make up, right? Like 2 million cars.
Right.
Out of 18 million.
Something
80 million that's out there. Yeah.
That's total on the road.
Total
Yes.
on the road, yeah.
But I mean, there's millions in the US, and it's climbing quickly. And a lot of those older vehicles aren't getting many miles anyhow. This is bonkers.
True.
They're not spotting the disruption. If you were to ask me 3 years ago, what percentage of people would be using Chat GPT today?
Yes.
I mean, I wouldn't have guessed it would have been quite as big as it is.
There you go. I think that's the key insight right there.
Yeah, by 2032, Herbert, 20% of people could be using AI in their daily lives.
Yeah, 0.5%. Only 0.5% will be.
I got bad news for you. And the reality is, you can say that, look, no, Herbert, your car cannot go into the network. Have you not seen that the Tesla taxis have a special comms module in the back window? Right. That's an add-on. Well, there's something in the back window, a little box. That is, we believe, the comms module for enhanced communication so the car doesn't get stranded.
Yeah.
Well, that's great, but it's an add-on.
No.
You can add it on.
They can do that. Okay, so very, very, very cool. Like that's the biggest insight. Like these researchers just for some reason refused to believe that the future is going to be different than what it is today. The firm believes autonomous miles will represent about 30% of all rideshare miles. Just 30%. So in 2032, only 30% of all rideshare miles. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Let's see. And then they compare, percentage of 2024 rideshare trips is Lyft and Uber. And here's what's going to happen. And then as these companies scale their autonomous efforts, meaning they think everybody will be equal, costs are widely to decline. They think Waymo, which is currently nearly double Tesla's cost, will drop from $1.43 to 99 cents. The cost per mile will dip below the cost of the car ownership, which is growing. So they still, regardless of this, like you said, the price difference between, they do recognize Waymo is going to cost more than Tesla.
Do you believe Waymo will drop to $1.43?
So here's Waymo at 99 cents. No, but and here's Tesla at 59 cents. So despite being 40% cheaper, they still think that for somehow Waymo is going to be the leader.
So I take huge exception with this chart. It is 2025. Waymo is not $1.43.
It is not $1.43.
It is not. And I also take exception.
It's at $4. It's crazy.
It's outrageous. And I also take issue with Tesla being at any price on this chart because Tesla's operating at a loss today. We don't know what the actual projected price will be. We don't know we don't know how quickly their costs will come down. Getting it to 59 cents, is that the consumer cost or the is
Right.
that now I'm thinking they're saying that these are the company's costs, not the price they're charging. Because it's the cost, not the price. So if that's the case, maybe Waymo's at $1.43, but even then, I find that very hard to believe.
This is all parts of wrong here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the bull case is that ARK and S&P 45-50%, base case is 25-35%, and then you've got the conservatives 8 to 25%.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So even the conservative forecast, though, give Tesla 20% of the robotaxi market by 2030. Tesla becoming the dominant player for the bull guys, and robotaxi revenue expected to become 40-90% of Tesla's. All of this is so low, and that's the most. But this is the most conservative.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is the conversation that Waymo had with Elon. So Waymo's, first of all, Jeff Dean of Waymo came out and basically said, hey, Waymo's been announcing things left, right, and center. They're in 5 cities now. They're going to expand to 10 cities next year. They have plans for 14 more cities by 2027. They've got cars everywhere. But just to be clear, today they have 2,500 cars. 2,500 cars. Okay. They've doubled the autonomous rideshare market of how much they're actually paid miles autonomously. So all that is very good news for Waymo. It works. The product works in the cities, in the geographies they're in. Their problem is, as you said, business model, how fast can they scale, and scaling both creating cars, but also mapping these places. So if they give themselves, enough 2 years from now, maybe they'll have a small geography, but they cannot. You cannot take a Waymo and put it any point A to any point B. and they only have plans to grow it by another, 1,000 cars in all of 2026. Just to be clear. But anyways, so guess what? They announced that they really are moving to, guess what? Neural nets. Yes. They'll can keep LiDAR for now, but they have moved to neural nets, and this is what they've shown here. And then guess what? They're going to drop LiDAR because they've already said in their research that they've tested out vision only and it works. So all these people who are going, LiDAR's needed, LiDAR's needed. Well, even Waymo is saying to you guys, they might not do it. Anyways, Waymo system, fueled by careful collection of large volume of fully autonomous data, they have it, is the most advanced large-scale application of embodied AI today. I think they can claim that today. They can definitely claim they are the most advanced embodied AI. Very proud to see this level of engineering rigor tackling safe autonomous driving, making the road safer for everyone. And that's great. Okay, so this is great. They truly are safer. Here's the Waymo foundation model. Let's get it, the foundation model. This is exactly what Tesla's been doing for years. Input in, output out, and you've got this neural network in the middle. But they do have LiDAR still in there. Again, it's just another sensor. That's not what matters. What matters is how good is your neural net and how big of a stage you have. This guy was asking, I would be interested to see your arguments compared to Tesla, who also claim to be the most advanced large-scale application of embodied AI. Okay, why? Because 8 million cars, or at least half of that, the cars I'm driving, the car you're driving, they are embodied AI today. They're full self-driving. It's driving itself. Now it's not part of the Robotaxi network. And so can Waymo actually claim they're the largest embodied AI? Defense semantics, right?
No, they can't. There's no semantics where they can claim they are because they're not even end-to-end nets. They're partial AI,
they're
probably.
Partial. Yeah.
And
they're just making the move. Yeah.
And because Tesla's charging for FSD, people like you and I are paying for FSD or have paid for it.
Oh, that's a good point.
It is a commercial product of embodied AI.
That's a very good one. So Jeff Dean says, I don't think Tesla has anywhere near the volume of rider-only autonomous miles that Waymo has. Okay. Again, semantics, rider-only. Very true. True.
Mm-hmm.
Autonomous miles that Waymo has, 96 million for Waymo as of today. The safety data is quite compelling. This is also very true. Okay, their data. They released this data very, very clearly. New York Times doctor wrote an article in New York Times, and he dug through all of Waymo's data, and he was saying, Waymo's so safe now. Autonomous driving is safe. We've got to move here now. 91% fewer serious injuries or crashes, 79% fewer airbag deployments, 80% fewer injury-causing crashes. And now these are small numbers, so 220, 125, 30. So just keep that in mind. 92% fewer pedestrian crashes, 78% fewer cyclists, 89% fewer motorcycle. So clearly, though, right, it is safer, period. And once you grow it, then that's when you're going to get larger numbers. Elon replied to him saying, Waymo never really had a chance against Tesla. This will be obvious in hindsight. So right now, if you ask all the analysts, you ask the Joe Blow that's sitting down the street, and you say, who's the leader? They might say Waymo. And everybody, like you said earlier, they'll go, Waymo's so far ahead. They're in 5 cities. They've got true autonomous. Tesla will never catch up, or if they do, they'll be second, as in Morgan Stanley's research. But Elon says, no, never had a chance. And it's going to be obvious.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the easy analogy there is World War II. The Panzer was a superior tank. The Patton tank was not very good. And the German said, forever, a Panzer can take out 3 of these Sherman tanks. Sherman, not Patton. Sherman tanks. The problem is the Americans deploy 5. And the reality is, I don't care how good your system is. If it can't scale, you're going to lose. If it can't, and it can't scale because it's too expensive, because it's too complicated, because you have too many fingers in the pie. You've got too many people trying to make their profit. All your suppliers, plus the vehicle manufacturer, plus the network, in the case of Uber, on top of Waymo. That's too many. That's too many profit takers trying to get out of it. I still see people in my comments saying, man, if only Tesla hadn't cheaped out and skipped on the LiDAR. LiDAR is critical to safety. I go, what are you talking about? We are years past that discussion. You think people like me and Herbert haven't been following this obsessively for years? LiDAR is not a silver bullet. We are seeing Waymo hinting that they may be soon working to remove it. We've seen companies in China, leaders in the autonomous vehicle space, scaling back and even removing entirely the LiDAR from their systems. It is not a lack of perception that causes Waymo grief. It is a lack of decision making. It is the brain, not the eyeballs, that make Waymos get into traffic jams of their own creation. Bonk. They literally will touch LiDARs together on a public street in full view of children, no less.
Yeah.
I don't know what's obscene to robots. I think that might be it. And to the people, including me, saying it's not done because I had an issue yesterday. I did have an issue yesterday. It tried to pull out over a sidewalk and make a wrong turn onto a one-way street that was the wrong way. That's unacceptable. But I would say that then how on earth could Elon have such a high degree of confidence? Here's my theory. The version that they're running in Europe is a different version. It is different. And we know because we believe that because it looks different, it could, in theory, be the same one. But we know that that the same version running on Cybertruck versus Model Y is slightly different, even though they have the same release number. But the other reason I'd say we know it's different is because it is getting endless test rides with the most critical people, and there are no interventions. Nobody's saying, wow, it was super amazing, except the part where I had to grab the wheel or we would have gone into oncoming traffic.
Flawless.
I am confident that they have a build that has removed a barrier or two that have remained in the US version for some regulatory or technical reason that that will make sense when we see it in hindsight. I think the build is different. When Elon says 3 weeks, I say, well, let's see. If 2 weeks is a year and a half, no. He is saying for real, this month, December, we will see the employee occupants exit the vehicle. And when that happens, it's time to start scaling.
Let's listen to what he actually said. Here's the actual interview.
What, in your opinion, technologically is preventing us from achieving unsupervised FSD, and what can we build here to help you along that journey? And part 2 is, if I fly down to Texas, may I meet you?
So that's actually that's a lot. So unsupervised is pretty much solved at this point. So there will be Tesla Robotaxis operating in Boston with no one in them, not even anyone in the passenger seat, in about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I think it's a pretty much a solved problem. We're just going to validation right now. And that will be done with a quite small model. There's a model that's order of magnitude larger that will probably be deployed in late January or February. And that's so we'll achieve a safety level sufficient that there's no one in the car if you just drive around. With the current model size, and then the order of magnitude greater model size, that goes out in January, Feb. So it's just going to get even better. And then we're going to add reasoning, tailored reasoning, and a lot of RL. So the car's going to get several times better than a Google at driving. It might get to 10x, but even with the AI4 hardware car. And we're close to completing the design of AI5, which will be, by some metrics, about 40 times better than AI4. But all things considered, probably at least 10 or 11 times better. And that's probably one direction, 27. And then AI6 will follow that very quickly. And then I think to get to serious scale, Tesla will probably need to build a gigantic chip pad, like a Tesla Terapad. To have like a few hundred gigawatts of AI chips per year, I don't see that people are coming online fast enough. So it's probably requires building a gigantic pad.
You know, that's the other question, right? I mean, where is Waymo and where is Zoox going to get all their chips? Elon talked about unsupervised FSD in 3 weeks, a larger model by January, February. That's like in a couple months. And then you got AI5, which is the GPUs, and AI6. These are massive, and then the terafab in the future. So by 2035, where is Waymo and Zoox going to get their chips? NVIDIA? And is NVIDIA going to be, optimized for self-driving, or are they going to be doing, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, good luck. And even if it is, even let's say NVIDIA does provide this chips to these guys, the cost, they have to pay NVIDIA 70% margins. And so guess what? That's right there is 30 cents a mile. I mean, it's crazy expensive. So
NVIDIA knows what they're doing. The chip fabs will come online. They always do. They always have. This is a little different because if this was just autonomous vehicles we're talking about, I'd say there is no reason for concern. But it's also bots. And bots are going to be coming on with what I am confident will be a degree of chip demand that makes automotive demand look quaint. Because it's not just Tesla. The people who were criticizing FSD early on, I said, are the same people who criticize Optimus today. They said, well, it's crazy. It's never been done. I go, right. But there's 100 companies working on it. Are all of them crazy, or is it you? Because it sounds like it might just be you. And then the same with robots. Oh, a car company is going to build a robot. Ha ha. Right now, half of the global car brands have some kind of robotics wing working on these things. Are they all crazy? I would argue that maybe the armchair guys don't know what they're talking about, nor do I expect them to. But what I'd like is for them to be a little quieter when they're so wrong. And by the way, just a word of advice to folks in the world out there. If you're going to be wrong, at least don't be a jerk about it. That's a bad combo.
Thank you very much, Brian. This is why we turn to you. Appreciate your insights today. Wow, that was good. You pulled out the most important things to think about and consider. And you love to look at research and dive deep and go, okay, that's a little funny. We'll find out. Thank you so much, Brian. Follow him on his YouTube channel, FutureAza. You heard it here. He's got 3 big exclusive factory tours and interviews coming up. Follow his channel. Thanks very much, Brian. I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.